Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here we go. Might be a little loud. Okay. Good times. It's Thursday morning. We are going live. That's what we do. Getting my alerts. Popping a cold drink. It's a water with bubbles. Okay, here we go. I think we're nearly ready. I hope you're doing well. Happy Thursday. My name is Sean Shapiro. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, that show on the internet that allows you to talk to me about stuff and things going on in the traffic safety world. Yeah, we talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff too. I've even talked about donuts. We're not afraid of donuts. We just use them wisely. Today, we'll be discussing many, many, many things, which really we're going to be focusing on what we always focus on, which is your questions. If you're watching, know that you can actually reach us a number of different ways. Let me put them on screen for you. You can get us on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, except if you're on Twitter, you live in a world where we can't hear you. It's true. You can watch us, but we can't see you. We can't see your questions. If you'd like to see to ask us questions, and we really hope that you do, we invite you to come over and spend time with us on any of the other platforms that work properly with Restream. Best experience is probably going to be the widescreen wonder of YouTube. You can get us by going on to our link that's inside the bio on all our platforms. There you will find a link for, well, every platform that we use that gives you access to us. It's really weird. And I will tell you that Twitter used to work. It stopped working. We're hoping that they repair the API so they can work again. And once they do, we will share with you there. And you know, we have a lot of people who watch us there. So I apologize. I apologize on behalf of the world of Twitter. I don't even know if it's Twitter. I don't know who to blame. Oh, you're actually live, the Canadian show. Hey, brother, how you doing? Yes, last night, apparently our channel was streaming for 22 hours without a signal. Don't know why that happened. Thank you to Crystal, who actually reached out to the station and let us know. It wasn't anything I could do or see, because on my account, I looked at it on my phone and it said I wasn't streaming, but it lied to me. It did. Behind me, the screens are blue instead of saying, ask a traffic cop. And that's because I was hearing a horrible noise this morning. So I don't know if the transformer failed, but it was making nasty, nasty noise. So I turned it off because I can't stand the nasty noise. We will talk about many things today. There was something I wanted to really talk about. What was it? Well, I want to talk about the article we were discussing yesterday and in the office, license plate frames and covers. That's a thing. We're going to talk about Vision Zero Enforcement Team right now so I can get out of the way and not leave it to the last 5 seconds of the show like I did yesterday. Today being the 16th of March. Yes, it is. We have Vision Zero Enforcement officers going out in different parts of the city because that's what they do every day. They are dedicated to changing driver behavior one ticket at a time. No hugs are given, but they go to different areas, and they're instructed to go to different areas based on crash data. And when they go there, they go out and focus on the big four. Big four. Oh, wait, I have a button for this. I'm sorry, I'm a button geek now. This is the big four. Hey, look at that. It's like I prepared. Speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. Those are the driver behaviors that drivers engage in, choose to participate with, that are known to lead to serious injury and death on our roads. Yeah, we actually know that if you do those things, you put yourself and everybody else in danger, which is why we focus on those. And I love the arguments, and we have tons of them. People who have in the comments come out and said, "You're wrong. It's not speeding that kills. It is the sudden stop." And to some degree, they're not incorrect entirely. Speeding, however, where they're failing in that comment, is that speeding increases your crash potential, the chance of becoming involved in a crash or collision, but not accident, because this was a choice. It increases the level of damage because you have more energy that has to be slowed down. Big smush happens when you crash. Additionally, you have a larger injury potential. Yeah, to come up with a good word for that. But you're going to do more damage to a human, whether it be the one inside the vehicle or the one you hit. So when people say speed doesn't kill, they're not correct. Speed does kill. Where are they today? They're in 13 Division and 55 Division. That's Yorkdale, Glen Park, Briar Hill, Witchwood, Oakwood, Vaughan, the Beaches, Riverdale, Danforth, East York. Those are neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play. And guess what? They deserve to be able to go out in their community and be safe. I remember when I was a kid growing up in North York, somebody hit our house. I lived on a hill, and they drove into the house. Probably speed related, or something else. I was very young, obviously. I don't remember the details, but actually, two people drove into the house. It was two different crashes. The reason I bring it up is we're constantly trying to make the road safer. We're trying to make it safer for everybody. And when people will talk about a collision, they usually see it as a victimless situation. It's a crash. Well, it's a crash that, in the lightest situation, is property damage, inconvenience. But on the other side of the scale, when someone who's walking to the bus, waiting for the bus, riding a bicycle, driving, and they don't get to go home at the end of the day, they never go home because they're dead. That's something that minor change in your behavior as a driver could save a life on the other side. So when people say, "What is this show? What is this Ask a Traffic Cop thing you do? Why is it important?" I'll tell you why it's important. Because we're educating people, and we're trying to get across the message about traffic safety, and we do it in all sorts of ways. We often talk about tinted window tickets. Well, why is tinted window even a ticket? That's kind of the question we get a lot. Why do you care? It's just tinted windows. Well, when people tint their windows and they can't see properly out of them because light affects people's ability to see, and if they can't see, they don't know what they're hitting or driving. It's all connected. Laws about driving are not just a way to get you to pay a fine. We're not trying to make money on you. If we had nothing to write you a ticket for, we'd be happy. We'd still see collisions. We'd still have reasons to enforce laws. But if you didn't break any rules, you'd never have a fine. Isn't that amazing? But very often, and there was one comment in particular, and I wish I could bring it up. The phone that I took a snapshot of it on is the one that I'm streaming onto Instagram with right now. Now, the person said, "What's really bad is an officer who writes 5 tickets to a driver." And I thought that was awesome. Person determined that it was the officer who was being mean and nasty to the driver, who committed at least 5 offenses to get those 5 tickets. We don't make them up. If they're there, we write them. So if you're using your cell phone while you're throwing, you did. We're just writing the ticket. Yeah, we don't actually cause the issue. We just document it. If you'd like to, why did I press this button? Why'd that happen? Oh, I don't think I did that. But now I got to figure out where the button is to turn that off. Chat overlay. Let me turn that back off. I think that was JD with an oopsie-doo. If you are watching and you are wondering why I've not jumped into questions, it's because I haven't finished jabbering on yet. But I'm getting there. We will. I got questions here. Oh, Q&A. Q&A, which is what we do every day. But we actually have something called Volley. That's that peace sign, that the pink business. Okay. JD's having some issues with his computer. No problemo. Take your time. We are here. We've got lots of stuff to talk about. Don't worry. I got a private message saying that there were some issues. Something I'll talk about in just a second about becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service. And but I'll talk about that as soon as I finish yapping about Volley. Volley is a fantastic platform that we use to allow you to send us video, voice, and text. We're a small group of 155 people who are in there, and we can communicate. We even have a dad joke. So it was Michael's idea to start that group. So, it's there because Michael made it. And I should do an announcement because I don't think everybody knows it's there. In any case, if you'd like to join our little group, the party that we have, feel free to come to trafficcop.ca. I'll do my quick spiel about trafficcop.ca, and then we're going to get into it. But trafficcop.ca, which I will share on screen right now so you can see what I'm talking about, is this. It is this page. And on it, it's my link tree. And on it, you can get out to all of our stuff. You can come to the Volley. You can join and listen to our podcast. You can Check out our hiring page, which we're going to talk about in 1 second. You can connect with me on LinkedIn and all the platforms that I'm on, the general site for Toronto Police, learn about our unit, make reports for some police things, parking complaints, driving complaints in your issue, minor stuff. Uh, Chat not enabling for you? I don't know why it's happening. Uh, what is it? Maybe reload your page, JD. Go out and come back in. Interesting. Okay. I don't know what to tell you, but so we may have difficulty today. If that's the case, I'll do my best to try and manage chat. But if you're not getting your questions answered, if you're not being, well, we're not going to be. If you think you need to get to the top of the line, go to YouTube. Come to YouTube. Come to Twitch. Come to Facebook, and then we'll be able to push your questions on screen. So back to this. You can make some reports. You can start. Some pedestrians and cyclists can start some collision reports or their collision reports here, and then come to any one of the three centers. You can also use great information like how to renew your license plate. You can actually do it with this link. Check a driver's license status. Get information if you're new to Ontario or Canada and want to drive, and also check before buying a vehicle to ensure that that vehicle is not stolen. Oh, cool. We're back in business. Reloading the page worked for JD. So he will be able to convey your questions from TikTok. What am I seeing here? Hang on a second. I'm all discombobulated. There we go. Okay. I lost my window, but I found it. So, yeah, we're off to a great start. If you've got questions, they're gonna get transferred over. And I see them. I see a whole bunch of people. Thank you to everyone who's in here. If you are watching on TikTok, please tap that screen till your finger goes numb. Show likes to the stream. It helps promote it with other people. And if you would be so kind as to follow us, if you don't already follow us, we follow us. But it helps us stay in touch, get notified when we go live, which is usually from 10 to 11 Monday to Friday. And if you are in Toronto this afternoon, tune in, because actually it's not just Toronto, they're across the province. The Kelly Contreras Show, we're going to be on the air on AM 640. Very cool. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Awesome. Checking the chats. Okay. Chase has a volley that he sent 5 minutes ago. Oh, and Michael is no longer dealing with his food poisoning or yuckiness from yesterday. Okay, let's play what's going on here.
Here's a follow-up question from our discussion on TikTok. So once you sell a vehicle privately, you give the buyer the back of the ownership signed, and you give them the used vehicle information package, and they affix their own plates to it. And there's that 6-day period where they haven't registered it yet. Are you responsible for your vehicle in any way still? Like, let's say it's involved in crime. Like, at the end of the day, the ministry still thinks it's in your name.
Oh, this is a good question. This is a good question that makes people's minds melt. Let me tell you a story. I go to a collision call, and I don't recall what street it's on because it's like 5 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. I don't remember. But the car, it was a minivan full of cans. This person was picking up recycling and getting money for the aluminum. The car was in a collision. The driver took off, left it abandoned in the middle of the street. The plates, well, there were no plates that I recall. And I went back we impounded the vehicle because it was abandoned. And I get a call, I don't know, a month later. And it was the registered owner, apparently. They were calling to say they'd be notified that they are responsible for all the towing and impound fees related to that vehicle. Except he sold the car. He had a bill that he had sold the car. And he's still responsible because the vehicle was not transferred out of his name and he didn't notify the ministry. So what do you do if you're selling it? Well, first of all, get great documentation. But my personal suggestion, something to keep you and your money together. If you're going to sell it at the ministry. Transfer it right then and there. Go meet them at the ministry. Why do you have to meet them in your front driveway? Go take them to the ministry. Do the transfer there. People say, well, it's on the weekend. Ministry is not open. That's not true. There are ministry locations that are open. And it's in your best interest as the seller of a vehicle to get that thing out of your name. Sometimes trading it into a dealership instead of selling it privately takes that issue out of the mix. But that's a personal decision only you can make. What a horrible situation they were in. And this is not a new story. This happens all the time. People don't. They deal with bad people who decide to buy a low cost car. You just want to get rid of your car, and then suddenly you have a $5,000 bill for towing and storage. No fun. All right. Crystal, good morning to you. And if you didn't hear the shout out to you earlier, Crystal called to let us know that our stream last night was running for like 22 hours. Or maybe it was 22 hours this morning when I got in and checked it, because I checked it when I got the messages from her, and we got a call on the station, but it was showing up as not an issue, like not running. But sure enough, this morning I looked at it and said 22 hours of live stream, even though there was no video feed. Okay. Mike Foley wants to what? Oh, Mike Foley, I think, is just stirring stuff. How do we increase victimless crimes? Um, there's never. I like that people claim that there are victimless crimes, but there's no victimless crime. If you're committing an offense, there's somebody somewhere somehow is being negatively affected. Um, but that's okay. I'm not going to try and convince someone of why crime is bad. Crime should just be understood. That yeah. Uh, totally tone deaf. I'm assuming it's totally tone deaf. It is totally tone deaf because see, it just says totally tone D, but it happens to be tone deaf because it just makes sense. Would you ever consider a hair transplant? No, I actually prefer not having shaggy stuff to have to worry about. I like my look. I'm very happy with it. In fact, this is my hippie long hair look right now. Usually I shave it down to the wood, and I'm far happier for it. The folks who have to worry about hair care products, I think they're really the ones that are getting the poor end of the stick. I just keep getting better looking as I age. Just ask my wife. Oh my goodness. Yeah, one thing I can tell you is that I am a traffic person, and as a traffic person, I don't actually have any feelings. So the people who try and offend me really, really make me laugh. But let's move on to things. I'm not seeing. Maybe I need to reload. I'm not seeing any of the chat questions. JD, are you trying to punch them in? Are you sending? Because I don't see them. Let me see here. I don't see them. Maybe I don't know if you can see it. I don't see. I will try and send something. Maybe it'll start it off. Testing. To activate chat, please enable other channels. What? What's going on here? Some weird stuff going on here. Not sure what's happening. We had a little technical difficulty. We may not have anybody on here except. Okay, hang on. Let's do. Did we have a problem? What's going on here? No, everyone's connected. Why is this giving me a hard time? Testing. Let's see if this is working. Maybe I need to reload my page. Stand by for a second, folks. I'm going to go off camera for 1 second. Okay. Let's made it better. Testing. Aha. Okay. I think we're golden. Beautiful. Yeah. Some weird stuff was going on in computers. You love them until you don't love them, because when they don't work, it stinks. Okay. But we are back in business. And for anyone who's just jumping into the live now, and the first 19 minutes would be interesting. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. And we go live Monday to Friday from 10 to 11 to answer your traffic and police questions. So if you've got them, please ask them. Now that I can actually see questions, anyone who was sending them before, you may have sent them and I didn't see them. So my apologies for our technical issues. But I see Stephen Bell, who says, "Good morning, Officer Sean. Sorry I'm late." Well, you're never late. Whenever you are here, it is when you got here, and we appreciate you joining us. If you're watching and want to jump in and ask questions, feel free to jump onto any of the platforms where we can see you. That is basically everywhere that you see on screen, except for Twitter. We can't see questions from Twitter. We can, however, and most easily share questions that come in through YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook. Now, on Instagram, I'm on a different camera that's over here, not over here, but over here. And I can questions and respond to you, but it won't be shown to anyone else. And TikTok, we have a chat, and we have JD, who is punching in the basically typing in what you say for any questions that he can pick out of the mix. I'm attempting to grab questions and to share them. So if I can see the question, if I can see in the chat, and I will share. So Jules, who just asked a question, oh, and then I'll get into Grindmaster in a second. But and I do see them. Thank you very much, JD. It's now working properly. So I had just seen here from Jules. Can you legally plate an ATV on the road? So not in Toronto. ATVs can be plated and insured, and in some jurisdictions are permitted at certain speeds based on the road speed. So there's a certain exclusion or permission for certain types of like side by sides, things like that. But it's not every and for ATVs, but not dirt bikes. Dirt bikes are not allowed. What's this? K Tweel has something about, I don't know what we're talking about. I'm missing parts of it. Hey Emma, how you doing? Trent Miners in Perry Sound, how you doing? Where are you from? I got in Alberta. Cool. Okay. Or no, you're saying Alberta's thinking of dropping the full Class 5 licenses. What's that? What does that mean? What is a Class 5? I still have to have a dictionary. Actually, JD gave me a booklet I have to read up about other provinces and their licenses. Okay. How does, this is the question that I said I was going to come up with or answer in a second. Here we go. Explain how LiDAR works, please. I can give you a rudimentary lesson on LiDAR. First of all, LiDAR, what is it? LiDAR is what we call our laser speed measurement devices. It is what has basically replaced laser for the most part. Sorry, radar for the most part. We still use radar, but very well, it's a lot less than before. It used to be that we had handheld radar devices and we had a fixed like moving radar devices. We still have the moving radar devices. We don't really use handheld radar anymore. It's all laser, which is fantastic because laser is super easy to use compared to the radar, which requires more training and understanding of different technologies. Anyway, how does LiDAR work? LiDAR has a laser that is or a transmitter that shoots a laser beam essentially. It's like Star Wars, pew pew. And then what happens is that when we point it at something, it bounces back, and then we have another device that's incorporated that receives the signal. And based on the length of time that it takes for the laser signal to hit something and then be received, it knows the distance. It actually is a distance measuring tool. It's phenomenal, you know. So now that we know the distance, how do we determine speed? Well, we take multiple, not by me taking multiple and doing math, but it takes multiple distance measurements over a period of time, and based on the change in the distance over that time, it can determine the traveling speed of the target that's being looked at. So if I lock on and I look through the scope and I see your vehicle and I press the button, it sends a signal. It does its fancy math business and then tells me that it got a speed. That's the speed. If I do another speed and it changes, I can lay the charge on either of the speeds, even if, like, because people say, well, I want to see what it says on the laser gun. I don't have to show you, first of all, in Ontario. I don't know if there's anywhere that you do have to show, but it is a tool that works really well. We use all the time. JD says it's a light detecting and ranging. That is I guess the technical terminology. I like making up words. The more I can make a word less legitimate, the more I'll use it. Instagram is currently my favorite for relating to Instagram. Just saying. Da, 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 da. Oh, what is this? Crystal says, I don't think TikTok likes you guys anymore. Maybe it's the beginning of bad things. I wonder why. What do you mean? Is it having a problem? Is it freezing? What's going on TikTok? Or just in general, like technical foes or woes? Woes, not foes. It's different. Hey, Aaron. Let's see here. John getting slapped by legal, my favorite username of the week. On the late stream that happened last night, I came up with a name for the late night streams. Ask a traffic cop driving safe after dark, where the screen is just dark and no one speaks. That's what yesterday was. So what happened was, because Aaron noticed it, and Crystal wrote to us and called us. The deal is that when we went offline, I must have double tapped the button or not tapped it properly at all, and the stream remained open. Like the RTMP was active and didn't turn off even though we had gone home. Yeah, technical difficulties. It's called user error, folks. That's actually what it is. There is a box that you can check that says if the stream goes dead, then you can actually have it automatically cancel. But I was worried that anyway. I've never used that. So let's see here. You can always request email reminders. What are we talking about? Oh, okay. Are we talking about renewing? Okay, if you are in the chat on TikTok, please add a Q to your question before you post it so we know that's a question. All right, let's go back into Susie Q. Let's see. My pause while my brain is determining what letters are on the screen to form words. Who has the right to ask for my car insurance? Actually, that's a really good question. No, I don't think anyone's ever asked that before. And the deal is this. If you are driving a motor vehicle, police can ask for your insurance. If you are involved in a motor vehicle collision, you are responsible to provide your insurance to anyone, a witness, another driver. And here's a fun one. So I'm going to actually read to you from, because I want to get the wording to be spot on. And I'm not in a rush, so nobody else should be. We're going to the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act, and it's going to be surrender. Not the license. Fail to surrender insurance card. An operator of a motor vehicle on a highway shall have in their vehicle at all times an insurance card for the motor vehicle, an insurance card evidencing that the operator is insured under the contract of automobile insurance, and the operator shall surrender the insurance card for reasonable inspection on the demand of the police. There's something else. No, that's a different charge. Sorry. Exchange. Maybe it's under the HTA. It must be under the HTA. That's the insurance card one, and I'm reading it from the wrong place. All right. Exchange. Things I don't normally look at. It's under collisions. Okay. Information. Fail to furnish required information. This is the one. Every person in charge of a motor vehicle or streetcar who is directly or indirectly involved in an accident, it should really be changed to collision, shall report the accident, which should be collision, immediately to the nearest police officer and provide the officer the information concerning the collision as it may be required by the officer under subsection 3. If the collision results in personal injuries, blah, blah, blah. Come on. Somewhere it says you have to provide it with everybody else. Maybe it's under exchange. Come on. Anyway, you have to provide that information to other drivers. And I just can't find where it is. That's furnished to a police officer. Where is... Perfect timing. It's like you knew I wanted to ask you a question. Sergeant Campbell is approaching.
Well, hello, Sean.
Hello there. Let me make a little adjustment here. I will rotate camera that way and shimmy over this way. And the question is, can you hear?
I can hear.
Okay. Can you hear yourself or just me?
I can hear just you.
Okay. We did this for Aaron yesterday. I don't know if that's 3 or 4.
Now I can hear me too.
Which do you prefer?
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm used to hearing myself. I listen to myself all the time. I say good things, so I don't
I'm
mind.
used to hearing you as well.
So the question,
My office is closed.
It's trying. My yapping goes down the hall. So the question is, who has the right to ask for my car insurance? And it's my understanding, and I thought I knew stuff before I couldn't find it on paper, that you have to obviously surrender to a police officer upon demand, but that you also have to furnish anyone involved in a collision, and that may also include a witness. I thought, but I can't remember that. I can't find where I'm looking for it.
So I'm not sure about a witness. Other involved drivers? Absolutely, you do.
Yes. Okay. I thought, for some reason, I said it, and I can't back it up. I think I thought once upon a time.
You think you thought?
I think I thought that.
Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act.
But that's where I looked, and I didn't find it.
So the reporting and furnish information is under the Highway Traffic
Yes.
Act,
So I
under
went
the
there.
collision one. So probably around about 200, 199, 200 of the HCA.
I went there too. We'll come back to this. I'm really interested in looking it up, but I also don't want to spend the entire show looking it up. So we'll circle back at a later date. So Susie Q, I will remember you. And
No, you won't.
I will. Susie Q. How can you forget Susie Q? Okay. Before I watched this show, I thought novice drivers got a roadside suspension for any speeding. This is according to Chase. Now, is that a question for Chase, or is that a statement from? Sorry, is it a question that you're relaying, or is that a statement from Chase, the man, the myth, the legend? A novice driver does get a roadside suspension for not a roadside, sorry, a suspension, not roadside, but upon conviction for a offense that carries 4 or more demerit points, but not roadside. But that's very cool. We learned something, or somebody learned something as a result of us, which is good. Marco. This is Marco who asked me a question last night asking about auxiliaries, and then we made a plan that you'd come back today, and here you are. Are auxiliaries allowed to enforce the Highway Traffic Act? I've heard they help with parking enforcement and ride, but I've also heard rumors about HTA enforcement. So I used to be an auxiliary officer. I started in 2000 as an auxiliary, and then became a court officer, special constable as well. And then later in my career, transferred to police constable. So I can give you a little bit of spiel about HTA. So no, we are not, as auxiliaries, or auxiliaries are not able or authorized to enforce really anything. We don't do parking enforcement. We don't do, or they don't. I say we because I still, in my heart of hearts, I'm still an auxiliary. But there's no enforcement of HTA or parking enforcement. We do direct people. Like I used to come out to parade routes and tell people, don't park here. There's a parade coming through. If you park here, that person will give you a ticket, not me. But so that sort of thing.
So our auxiliary officers can take direction from us, and the direction is coming from us as police officers to say, move that car, don't park here, can't do it. And they're an extension of us.
Mhm.
They don't have the authority themselves to go out there and do it, but they can act on our behalf if we ask them to do that.
And in terms of arrests, there are citizens arrests which they can take place in, and they're trained to do, and they can in certain situations do some really cool stuff. But it is under the extension and direct supervision of a police officer.
Right. And if a police officer says, arrest that man, they can do that because the authority comes from us and it's given to them. It's passed along to them. But we do have a new class of officers here. They're not police officers. They're special constables.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have some civilians working for the city that have been sworn in as special constables that can direct movement of traffic.
They can direct movement of traffic on their own, but they still don't issue tickets, from my understanding. I don't think that they actually have HTA authority for the purposes of the issuance of tickets.
That's correct.
I don't. Oh, that is correct. Okay, good.
Yeah, they do not.
So it's very cool that we have different ways of enforcing laws, giving direction. So it used to be very simple. You're a police officer, you're not a police officer, and then we've broken things down so that we can have more people doing different jobs and allowing the police officers with full police powers to do what they need to do, and get freed up from things like, for instance, special constables will guard a prisoner in the hospital. We used to have to sit in that hospital with the prisoner, and now we can hand them off to someone who can do it, and then we can go back and do something else, which is more important. It's still important to protect the prisoner and guard them, but there's better ways to spend police time.
Right. So let's go back to Susie Q.
Susie Q.
Susie Q. About the insurance information.
Yes.
So it is under the Highway Traffic Act.
Uh-huh.
It is Section 200, like I thought, but it's subsection C. Upon request, given writing to anyone sustaining a loss or injury, or to any police officer, or to any witness, his or her name, address, driver's license, and jurisdiction of issuance, motor vehicle liability insurance policy insurer, and policy number, name, and address of the registered owner of the vehicle, and the vehicle permit number. So you were absolutely correct. So
Cool.
Witness is included, and it's anybody that is witnessing or anybody that has sustained loss or injury.
I'm laughing because I just got a message from JD clarifying that it's not Susie Q. It's just Susie. And the Q means that there's a question. And I turned it into Susie Q. But I think that works. I think if you want to use Susie Q, you could. But maybe it's
Susie.
Susie. Well, my
Okay.
apologies for destroying your username and making it into something entirely different. But I'm glad that we got the answer, and I'm glad that I was
You're actually right.
that I was
Yeah.
correct. It happens on occasion, even if it's just a faint, memory of knowing stuff. It's still stuck there in the recesses of my mind. Okay, we have a question from. I'm not going to add the Q to this one. Juju 911. Is that right? Juju 911, not a Q. ATS still required to become a police officer. So ATS is one way of getting testing. It's the applicant testing services. It's a private company. Is it a private company or is it?
Yes,
I
it
think
is
it
a
is a
private
private
company.
company, and they are capable of issuing the OACP certificate, which is still a requirement for becoming a member of most police services, at least in Ontario.
I I thought something had changed quite recently,
Really?
and that some private companies were no longer allowed to do that.
Oh, and maybe that's the case.
So you know what, Juju 911. I believe. Remember that thing that's stuck in the back of
Yeah,
your.
yeah, yeah.
So I believe something has changed with that.
Let's have a quick look because we have the technology. If we go to police constable, so ATS specifically may not be a thing, but it's physical able, blah blah blah. You have no. So possess a valid OACP certificate. So however that is,
Yeah.
you still have to get it, but who provides that may not be ATS.
And I believe that the number of companies that were allowed to do that previously have shrunk down.
Good to know.
So
To avoid, do you see what's going on here? Are you picking up what's happening? Andrew Wint, not Q. Do you need insurance / license to drive a lawnmower on the road?
guess what?
It's funny you should say that.
You can't drive a lawnmower on the road.
That's right. It's not an implement of husbandry because it is not
Ever.
a farming device. It's not a tractor for. I mean, if it was a big enough tractor, it could be, couldn't it?
So if it's a big enough tractor and you are actually engaged in the act of farming, not cutting your lawn, not offering, landscaping services, you cannot drive a lawnmower on the road. It's a motor vehicle. And as a motor vehicle, it needs license, ownership, insurance,
And must be
plates.
qualified by Transport Canada to be approved for the road.
Yep.
You have to have a VIN number issued. You can't just like, for instance, people who they buy these kits, 49cc motor. We're going to put it on a bicycle and we're going to make it an e-bike that runs on gas. No, that's a motor vehicle, except it doesn't have a VIN number, so it can't be licensed for the road.
Yeah, it's a motorcycle.
People don't like that. There's a lot
No.
of people don't appreciate
And
that.
a lot of tickets can be given.
Oh, it's thousands.
Even a lawnmower. I would be riding improper tires on the
Mm-hmm.
highway. I would be riding everything. Where's your seatbelt? You don't got one. All right, you're getting a ticket for that too.
Don't drive your lawnmower to work. Is there a minimum amount of hours that a police officer has to spend at the range every year to maintain their skill? So yes, there is a required training program called we call it ISTP. It's the in-service training, and part of that includes a requalification with use of force, from everything from handcuffing techniques to baton use and firearms. So that's the minimum. In terms of time, I don't know how much that equates, but you have to meet a specific minimum qualification standard. That's what they call it, I guess.
And if you miss any portion of it,
Mhm.
you're taken off the road.
You don't get to have your gun is taken away.
Yep.
So, is there a maximum? There's no maximum. You can go and do more training. I used to shoot competitively. I was really big into it. However, not everybody is, a gun person like me. So there's minimums, and then you're encouraged to do more. In fact, we have a gun club, Toronto police members who go and compete. And
Yep.
Lots of cool stuff. We have since Sergeant Campbell is a towing and impound sergeant, does he have any stories of vehicles that got sold but weren't transferred? We were talking about this earlier. So this is how we actually opened the show, which I can actually replay the volley because somebody out there didn't hear it.
So as you know, there's certain charges that you can't lay on private property. So what gives
That's the wrong one. He moved
It
on.
is.
Here's a follow-up question from our discussion on TikTok. So once you sell a vehicle privately, you give the buyer the back of the ownership signed, and you give them the used vehicle information package, and they affix their own plates to it. And there's that 6-day period where they haven't registered it yet. Are you responsible for your vehicle in any way still? Like, let's say it's involved in crime. Like, at the end of the day, the ministry still thinks it's in your name.
So it will remain in your name until the new owner goes in and registers it. The problem is a couple of things changed. So many years ago, the insurance regulation changed where the $25,000 ticket can be only be given to the owner of the vehicle. So people that are buying the cheaper cars usually say, well, I'm not going to put insurance on it and I'm not going to technically own it. So I'm not going to put it in my name and I'm just going to keep driving it around. And if I get caught, oh, well, it's not my problem. And then the onus goes back to the original owner. So what I suggest, because this happens an awful lot when we're towing vehicles and the owner becomes liable under the Repairs and Storage Liens Act for all the fees that are racked up against that vehicle. What I suggest is when you sell a vehicle, and I do this myself, I keep every documentation of any correspondence I have with a person. When I fill out a bill of sale,
Mhm.
I actually put my driver's license on my scanner along with the bill of sale, and I take the driver's license of the buyer and I scan it and I say, I'm going to give you a copy and I'm going to keep a copy because I want to know who I'm selling this to. If you take this, and I'll use my daughter's ATV because that was the latest one I did.
Mhm.
I sold the ATV and I said, I'm going to need your driver's license. And if this is the reason why, if you take this ATV and your daughter drives it and she goes and runs over somebody and it's still in my name, then I'm going to be the subject of the investigation. If, on the other hand, you're buying this vehicle from me, it doesn't require a used vehicle information package because it's an off-road vehicle. What happens if it's stolen? What happens? I don't really own it.
Mhm.
And I'm giving it to you. I got all the cash from you and I'm running away. Well, you know what? You can go to the police and say, this is the name of the person that I bought it from. There's his picture. That's his driver's license. And he committed fraud and he sold me stolen property. That is a really good way to have all the information of the person who's purchasing it. The used vehicle information package is an obligation that the owner of the vehicle, the seller of the vehicle, has to
Mhm.
do. Fill it out properly. You keep a portion of it with the buyer's signature. They get a portion of it with your signature on it. That's the only legal document that actually shows that you have changed the information over.
And you still have to go to the ministry after. So a couple of things. One, I suggest that if you can, and best case scenario is you're doing this when the ministry is open, go and complete the sale there. Do the transfer right there, and you know it's done. Then there's no questions. But you were saying scanner. Some people may not have a scanner. Cell phone technology, camera, phone, take a great picture. And there's even in a Notes app, you can actually create a PDF right inside by saying scan document.
Right. So I make that part of the bill of sale. I actually scan it and print it out, and then they sign it with her pictures and driver's license already on there. Can you tell I'm kind of passionate about that? It happens all the time. And unfortunately, people are made a victim when they think they're doing everything right.
For sure.
You sold your car 6 months later, it has 3 months of storage fees and a bunch of tickets and 407 charges and a bunch of stuff. You are still responsible for all that payment. It could be thousands and thousands of dollars
Keep your plates.
unless you have all the documentation showing the date, the time, who, and when the sale was completed.
I've heard stories of people selling a car and letting them drive it with their plates, not realizing the plates don't go with the car. Because I think in some jurisdictions the plates stay with the car.
Mhm.
They don't here. You keep your plates.
Except for snowmobiles.
Really?
Yep.
These snowmobiles really mess the punch.
Yep, they really do.
What is going on here? Is there? We talked about that, and we talked about this. We talked about that. And we got the Marco who says
So-
thank you.
Once again, just be really, really careful when you're selling a vehicle. If you need some advice, give us a call.
Yes, that's it. We are here
Yep.
for that very purpose, to be a resource for you. And you can do it by way of telephone call. You can be on the show doing things like you ask here. Just reach out to us, get some good advice, and that's what we hope to do. Logan Grant, he's our friend from Alberta, Brooks, Alberta. What was your most memorable moment on traffic? Was there a moment that stood out to you, good, bad? Also, rest in peace to the 2 Edmonton officers killed in the line of duty last night. I didn't hear about that. That's terrible.
Neither have I.
That is terrible. Yes, definitely. Thank you for bringing that to our attention because we've been so tied up in our own stuff. We didn't see the announcement. Actually, I did see a logo with a morning band, so I just assumed it was something else. I didn't realize. So terrible news. We lose far too many police officers. We've lost 20 this year. I would say in the last 2 years, record. Last year was a record, I think, for
Yeah.
Ontario anyway.
Yeah. No,
If not
it's
Canada.
very sad. Edmonton, close to my heart. That's where I was born.
No kidding. I didn't know that.
And Edmonton Chief is an ex-Toronto police officer. So
Wow. So what's your most memorable moment on traffic?
there's a lot. There's every day is something different.
Mhm.
There are memorable moments because it's funny. There are memorable moments because it's sad. There are memorable moments because it's horrific.
Mhm.
Each one of them sticks around in my mind. I have lots of them. You know, we get the opportunity to see so much hurt, so much devastation, um, so many families that are ripped apart because of people's bad actions on the road that kill people. So
And, it's funny you say that because I don't usually break this down into why, but I'm really annoyed by people who choose to break traffic laws, and I think most people just think I'm a rules guy. I just like the rules, but I also know what happens when the rules get broken. I know what the car that goes off and kills someone looks like, and what that scene and how that drama all unfolds, and I know that that was preventable if the driver hadn't done what they did to cause the collision. So for me, when I say don't speed, it's not just don't speed because it's the law. It's don't speed because I've seen too many people killed as a result of the poor choices made by drivers. And that's it.
and I, as a supervisor, had to knock on too many doors and tell people their loved one, their really loved one, or their child, or their parent has been killed. And it's more memorable. It's
Not,
terrible,
yeah.
but it's not always like that. We also have an awful lot of fun here.
Yes.
I've seen some pretty silly things.
We do, and I love coming to work every day. This is really my extended family. I wouldn't want to work anywhere else, and uh, this is what I've always wanted to do. So I'm in the best place, living the best life because of this place. So I there are so many good things, and I love the people here. It's good
And you
stuff.
get to
It's
hang
good
with
times.
me.
Yeah, that's okay too. What is this? We got now. I'm losing context of the statement, but it says Susie. She is LOL and all gooding you. Oh, this is in regards to calling her Susie Q as opposed to Susie. Well, thank you very much Susie, for not hating us for adding a Q to your name.
I just got handed the CTV Edmonton news, so I will take an opportunity to read it afterwards.
Oh, okay. Unless you wanted to share it with anyone else, because people there may not know. Let's see here. Oh, for some reason, I have a Creedence Clearwater Revival song running through my head now. Wait, what did we say to cause that? That's a good thing, but I want to know what the trigger was.
Yeah, and what song?
What do we say? Yeah, tell us more, Kayla. We have Stephen who says, Sergeant Campbell, how much fine is it for people that doesn't move over for tow truck operators?
It's not fine at all.
It's not fine at all. That's a slow down, move over, and I think it's 325.
I believe it is too.
But let's
And
see.
points.
Yes. Let's see here. Slowing down. Where is it?
So quite recently, the Highway Traffic Act was changed because that law was there for emergency vehicles at the side of the road, but it also now includes tow trucks. And tow trucks are put into situations where they're trying to recover a vehicle, get it off the roadway, make it safer for everybody, but they have to do it manually. They have to hook up a car manually. They have to hook it up safely, which means going around the vehicle. So you have to, when possible, give one lane of space.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to slow down. And it's not slow down from your 20 or 30 kilometers over that you were already speeding. It means slow right down.
And it's because, like you said, people are out there working. They're doing what they need to do so we can make traffic move again. Get people off the road, and so they're safe and you're safe. Like, there's a lot going into it. I did find that it's not $325; it's $490, and it
As
should be. Yeah, absolutely. Section 159 sub 3 of the Highway Traffic Act failed to move into another lane for emergency vehicle or tow truck if safe to do. So there is some element of you have to have a space to go. If there's no space to go, you can't go anywhere, but you still have to slow down.
Am I correct saying there's 3 points?
It is 3 demerit points. I'll read you the short form. It's upon approaching an emergency vehicle with its lamp producing intermittent flashes of red or red and blue light, or a tow truck with its lamp producing intermittent flashes of amber light that is stopped on a highway with 2 or more lanes of traffic on the same side of the highway as the side on which the emergency vehicle or tow truck is stopped. If the driver of a vehicle traveling in the same lane that the emergency vehicle or tow truck is stopped in, or boy, it's wordy, or in a lane that is adjacent to the emergency vehicle or tow truck, in addition to slowing down and proceeding with caution as required by subsection 2, shall move into another lane if the movement can be made safely. Obviously, that is a compressed version for describing the elements of the offense. But yeah, you got to slow down, and it's for safety. So please do. I've actually given people a warning for a ticket that was minor in comparison, given them a warning and gone after the person that buzzed us while we were stopped,
Yep, I would do the
and
same
charge
thing.
them. Yeah, it's like it's your lucky day.
And
They're
you know
getting
what?
the ticket instead of you.
I've gone to back up police officers, made sure everything was okay, and they're hooking up a car on a tow truck, maybe because of a collision or a breakdown or something like that. I've gone and sat just up the road and just sat there and watched all the vehicles that didn't move over for them and didn't slow down. You're next. You're next. You're next.
For sure. Logan follows up and says ATS is no longer required. It's an online psychological evaluation test to apply. For which position are we talking about? Because I don't know if we've missed something.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, I don't know what that's for. Maybe it's for in your jurisdiction. I don't think that's the case here, but I don't know. So best thing to do is go to for Toronto Police anyway. If you're interested in becoming a member here, find out about the service you want to join. tps.ca/careers is going to get you to the right people for the answer to that question from the people who know the most about careers, the recruiters who want to help you pass.
And why would you not want to come to Toronto?
Right?
Yeah.
The OPP authority to
1
lay.
second. Here's the beginning.
So as you know, there are certain charges that you can't lay on private property. So what gives the OPP authority to lay charges like speeding or plates on the 407, which is not a public highway?
That's interesting. It is considered a road, though, and it is considered for the purposes of enforcement a highway.
Yeah. The 407 Act actually does it.
Ooh,
That says that all Highway Traffic Act offenses apply.
there you go.
So the government, when they sold it off, created a law allowing it to happen.
Very convenient.
Yeah.
Because if it didn't exist, that would be a horrible place to be.
So all the laws that we have, all the bylaws we have in Toronto are only allowed or in place because the government created the City of Toronto Act back in actually the latest version I think is 2006. But without that act being in place by the provincial government, we wouldn't be able to have any of our own bylaws here.
Good.
So it's a law that allows a law to be a law.
Rocky says they both look like twins. We've heard that before.
Yeah, somebody said that before.
Let's see
bald.
here. Oh, my wife is watching. Hi, wife. Leo wife is watching. There was a really good question that I wanted to. Here it is. Do you need an M class to drive a Can-Am Spider? So, by all means,
I know this one.
me too. But you recently got a motorcycle, so I have an old motorcycle. You have a new one,
And I have a couple of family members that just went for their M1, and we'll be doing the M2 class coming up in May. Good luck to them.
Mm-hmm.
So a Class M license will allow you to drive a Can-Am Spider. You start off the process with an M1 and move to an M2. If you decide that a three-wheeled vehicle is the only one you want to drive and don't want to ride a two-wheeled motorcycle, you can get a Class M license with an M restriction on it.
M?
I believe it is.
There's an L for low power, and there's a
No, I believe it's an M restriction on it.
MM?
And that just allows you to drive three-wheeled vehicles, such as a Can-Am Spider. And by the way, good for you for going for a Can-Am Spider. Love them.
Really? I've never. I like leaning.
Oh, you know what? It's totally different. It's very close to a snowmobile or an ATV for me. So, and I love it. It's very, very stable, and it has a little bit more safety, not involved in collision or anything like that, but just stability with it. So yes, you can get a restricted class license for a three-wheeled vehicle, but you cannot drive any other motorcycle with it.
I want to say it's a B. Is it a B? M2L, M. Where is it? There is definitely another, but I don't know. It's something about low power and where is it? Three-wheeled. Oh no, you're right. It's an M. Huh?
Pardon me?
Look at you.
What was
Sergeant Campbell is correct.
We're going to put another
tick
mark
on the
up
board.
road.
You know what? I don't know why. I didn't think it was an M. Didn't seem right. Why would you make an M? It's an M&M.
It is an M&M.
It's not just a wrapper.
Or
question.
candy.
The wrapper on the candy. Brandon, how do you get?
Get it any way we can. What are we getting?
How do you get your? Here we go. How do you get your license plates after getting your G license? Your license plates. So your license is the card. License plates is based on purchasing a vehicle. You don't have to have a license to get plates. You can own a vehicle and have it licensed and insured, and have somebody else drive it. Right? Companies buy so that's a ministry. Apply for it, pay for it, register a vehicle. Totally separate.
Yeah, license plates are for the vehicle, and a G license is actually your operator's permit. So your driver's license.
Yes. Lily the boss. Lily. I don't know how to pronounce this. I got a speeding ticket almost 2 years ago. I haven't received a court notice yet. What's the verdict? I would check with the courts. I would check with the courts that that are handling it, that you filed with, to get an update to see if it's still in the books or not. Things were delayed as a result of COVID. Things may have been lost. You may have gotten lucky, but I wouldn't bank on it. I would assume that it's just slow to arrive until you get verification otherwise.
I'm going to say 2 years ago was an awful long time though. I think
Yeah.
they've gone through most of the backlog.
I went to court recently for a 2-year-old for a ticket in 2018.
Wow.
Yeah, I was shocked. But I had court for it. But that's different than just processing time. But I would definitely check into it. Just to assume that it's not there is dangerous. Rocky Q, Rocky holding a phone while driving by a speed or red light camera. Will you get a ticket? In some places, you will, because in London, England, they're testing technology for phone sensing cameras and technology.
Wow.
Yes, I think that's really cool. It is not something here. The offenses specific to automated enforcement are limited to speed and red light, and even then, it's only responsibility of the registered owner, not the driver. So there's no demerit points. Whereas the charge for cell phones is very specific to the driver, and you would need to be able to identify who's in the car.
Yeah. Anything given out by a camera and automated is owner liability.
Yes. And I've seen the updates in the ministry or in the HTA. It's going to be or it's already been changed for school buses. And it's just not implemented in all jurisdictions, but camera systems will be employed on school buses, hopefully everywhere. So if you pass a school bus when the lights are on, you get a ticket, and it's owner liability.
Absolutely. And it's a good size ticket too.
Yeah. I can't wait. That's brilliant. I'm not going to try and pronounce. No, I'm not going to try and pronounce.
Fuddalicious.
Fuddalicious?
I think so.
I hope it is, because if it's something, yeah. License needed for a snowmobile. That is a you question.
That's a me question. So you can operate a snowmobile on public trails in Ontario at the age of 12. You need a snowmobile operator's permit. And you can get that after taking a education class and showing some proficiency in operating the snowmobile. Both my kids did it, and even I did it when I was 12. If you have a Class G license or a Class G2 license for an automobile to be on the road, you can operate a snowmobile on public trails. And it's sanctioned public trails. It's not, if you're on your own private property and you have some trails on your own private property, you don't need any license.
Here's a follow-up question. How about for a quad?
Yep.
Same deal?
So there's not an operator's permit for a quad. Everybody has to be 16 to be operating any property that is off yours. You need a full G2 or G license to operate it on roadways where it is allowed. There are certain roadways where it is allowed, certain roadways where it is not. And there's a bunch of restrictions on speed and where you can travel and stuff like that. So
know before you go.
Know before you go.
Rini says, as a retired school bus driver, hallelujah, it's about time. Fantastic.
I agree.
I'm glad that you were here to hear it, so you could have the good news of the day. This one is great. I love this. Why don't you have to show me your laser detector when I'm speeding? Why should I trust you? So the deal is, there may be places on the planet where you do have to show. We don't, and there's a number of reasons why. First of all, it's not required by law or procedure. That's the first off. Secondly, when I use that device to confirm the observations I've made, it's my observations that you're speeding. Speeding is anything over this posted speed limit. I can make that based on an estimation. The reason I need a speed is to determine the calculation of the fine. I know you're speeding. So people go to court and they say, well, I wasn't doing 50 over. I was only doing 40 over. He's wrong. Well, you just admitted to speeding. Thank you. You've just confirmed the case. I got nothing else to say. Case closed. And that's it. Speeding is speeding. 1 kilometer over is speeding. It's the same offense. People think it's a big difference.
Yeah, it's only the fine calculation or the demerit point calculation that's done by the actual speed that you're traveling. I can pace you. I can drive behind you and watch it.
Yeah.
And I don't have to show you my speedometer.
Aircraft used to use markings on the ground. They'd hit a stopwatch. They'd do the math from point A to point B. They know how much, and there's lots of ways to determine how fast you were going. And the truth is, it doesn't matter what you think. It matters what the courts think. If you choose to say you are innocent, then you need to bring that proof and make a case. Otherwise, you're guilty. And the courts will support that because we provide the evidence. And our evidence is our testimony, our observations.
I saw it. I determined it was. I confirmed it by.
Yeah, so we are confirming with the laser. Now, again, why don't I show you? Well, I can show you. I can choose to show you. There's reasons why that may not be worthwhile. One, getting you out of your vehicle to come look at the one mounted in my car, dangerous. Not going to put you in harm's way, even if you want to see it, even if you say, "But I'll be fine," because your safety and security is important. Additionally, if I took multiple readings, maybe the first time I took a reading with my handheld laser, you were doing 150, and then you slowed down when you saw the guy in the orange or yellow vest, and you were only doing 5 over when I hit it the second time. Well, I'm going to use the first speed, not the second speed, because I measured it, I confirmed it, and I know what it is. So that's 2 reasons why.
Which is awesome evidence to do in court as well, because then you just show them that they knew they were speeding and they were slowing down when they saw you because they thought they were going to get caught.
Makes sense. Here's a follow-up to your quad. Can I ride it in the ditch if I don't have a license? So the ditch is part of the road and probably not a place you're allowed to operate it.
Nope, absolutely not. Fence line to fence line is the road. You need to have a proper license to operate it.
Okay, this is the last
on your own property. No problem.
If you own the ditch and it's not on the road, you're fine. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Ditch riding. Abed wants to know why there's little enforcement on the QEW HOV lanes. We don't police the HOV or the QEW. That's a OPP jurisdiction.
So for those that don't know, QEW is a Queen Elizabeth way.
Yes. Richard said something, and now I'm already bracing myself. It's already terrible that we've lost 2 police officers in Edmonton, but he's shattered with grief as a result of what he just read or heard. So I will have to read up, and I'm already preparing for the information. I'm not looking forward to it. The loss of life of anyone is sad. Losing a police officer hits us all very differently. As police officers, we know that every day that we come to work, maybe less so for me being behind a desk, but for the people who currently go on the road and put their lives on the line. It's every goodbye, every morning that they leave the house, they may not be coming home. Doesn't matter if you're stopping cars for speeding or you are, going to deal with domestic violence situations or gun calls. Every call is a possible last day at work and never seeing your family again. So for the family and friends and colleagues of the officers that lost their lives today, my sincere condolences.
Mine as well.
Yeah. On that, I will say goodbye. I'm tearing up. Actually, it is hard to hear. So, at the end of the day, we'll still be back tomorrow, and for a Friday, maybe a less joyous one, but we'll have a Friday tomorrow. Have a great day.